Yeah, and they can it could be tenant issues, moving up to problem tenants. And as we had mentioned, collections is always the first issue. If they're having difficulty, maybe they'll attempt to make partial payments, and then it leads into making late payments, and the whole bullet point about tenants from hell. I've actually had some like really difficult to work with residents um, that were tenants from hell. I mean, this particular individual would complain, and then she would call the code enforcement and allege that we weren't taking care of the property. But then when we'd get a repair request, we'd have our guys go out there, and then she would deny access to the unit. Um, you know, Call the police and basically not allow for them to come in. Um, and unfortunately, this was one tenant that actually had a police warrant issued because she had somebody that was wanted by law enforcement come and batter ram the door off the hinge, and they come in, and it was like, oh well, I'm not going to take responsibility. It wasn't me. It was so and so friend of mine or whatever. And it's just like, no, you're responsible to pay for it. Oh well, I don't have the money and all this type of stuff. And it just having the range of tenants. I mean, we've had the best tenants ever, and we've had probably the worst tenants ever. And so it's like definitely when you're like, if you are just starting out in your investments, or maybe you've been in it for a while and you've already experienced some of this, or maybe you decided to hire a third party management right out of the gate, and you hear these stories from property managers like Omar and me, and you go, yeah, I'll let you guys deal with it, because tenants from hell, they do exist. Luckily, they're few and far in between, but yeah, they do exist. And we also have had issues with squatters. Um, Vacant unit. I remember very specifically, we had a property in the Inland Empire that we already had like ready for lease. We had already approved an applicant. We were getting ready to go sign a lease. We get out there like an hour before, or it was, I don't remember if it was the hour before or if it was a day before. But we went and just did a quick pre-inspection on the property, and come to find out that the unit next door was in a condominium complex. So the unit next door was also vacant, and some criminals had broken into that vacant unit, which we like our client did not own that unit. And so they broke in, and then they actually put a hole in the wall, and came in through the drywall into our unit, and were squatting in there, basically doing drugs and drinking. And so we actually had to have our maintenance guys get out there, and luckily at the time when we discovered it, we just discovered the debris and the hole in the wall, but they actually weren't in the unit at the time. So that was like an emergency thing where we immediately got our maintenance guys to do property preservation techniques, where we actually repatched the wall, we cleaned it up. We had to put a double-sided deadbolt on the security screen to make sure that nobody can break in, because that was what's happening. They actually put a hole through the wall, and then they were able to go in and out because it had a trigger, security lock on the door. So we had to put a double-sided key, and that type of stuff. It's really a balance between what is practical and what is deemed to be safe. Whereas if you have an occupied apartment, and you have a deadbolt with a keyhole on both sides of the lock, That's not deemed safe. It's not fire safe because if somebody doesn't have the key, they could get trapped in there, and if the property caught fire, then it would be a liability for the property owner. But at the same time, in this particular area, it was kind of a C minus D class area where there was a lot of crime. You have to take those risks because otherwise, criminals would come in and actually cause damage to the property. And the last thing as far as problem tenants go is lawsuits. Even after losing an eviction and actually having a monetary balance that was due, we've had tenants sue us and try to allege that we were providing uninhabitable or inhabitable property and try to take us to court. And so then we have to go and defend ourselves as a company and then the property owner to let them know, hey, you know what? We did all the maintenance. Here's all of our maintenance records. Here's our pest treatments. Here's our bills for all the repairs that we did on the property, and again to the judge. And here's the cost that the resident had caused, the damage that the resident had caused when the tenant was living there, and this is what they actually had done. And in those cases, we won those cases because tenant was just being like I said in the last slide, a tenant from hell. And or actually on this slide, a few bullet points up. So that's the thing. It's just um, those parts of it. It's like I said, I do enjoy the property management because it's not a hey, I told you so, but there is a little bit of a sense of vindication when somebody tries to sue you and they lose, after you've had to go through the process of evicting them after they're not paying rent for 3 to 4 months to get through the court process and get an eviction on them. So it's like, yes, it's really when you get those victories, it is joyful. And I feel good because we're able to provide good service for our property owners, and we want to provide great service to our tenants too. But when our tenants are causing issues, and then they come and sue us for issues that they caused, it just feels good to win in court.
Yeah, and like I said in the beginning, these problem tenants or bad tenants, they're going to be a small percentage of the people out there. But here's the thing, if you do proper qualifying, like we talked earlier in this presentation, you're going to avoid a lot of these people, or maybe even entirely avoid them. Um, One thing I did want to chime in here is this is, when the tenants prevent maintenance access, this is kind of a pain in the neck here. Um, but we've had some tenants in the past where, you send a vendor over there, whether it's a plumber, electrician, or whatever, and they don't allow them in, or they make it, they give very unreasonable, hours. Sometimes they may even change the locks on you. So then that way your key copy, you're not able to open it up. Um, but those people you can evict them if you have to, because they have to allow maintenance into units, and they're not allowed to modify the rental unit, and that includes changing the locks. Um, and on the item of lawsuits, where it's a pretty it's a common defense that tenants use in the eviction courts, that the unit was uninhabitable because it wasn't maintained or whatever. But that's a very easy argument to fight against if you keep good documents. So if you keep your receipts, when you did a repair job or fix this or fix that, keep those receipts, scan them so that you can always produce them there to a judge if they try to make that claim.